This episode of the Tactics Meeting is brought to you in part by Gallagher Marine Systems. Gallagher Marine Systems is the industry's most comprehensive source of full-service, in-depth compliance support. And by the Washington State Maritime Cooperative, the only non-profit umbrella plan holder dedicated to oil spill readiness for commercial vessels operating in Puget Sound and the Greater Salish Sea. Formed in partnership with Washington State in 1995 to protect these waters, WSMC has long stood at the intersection of maritime response and environmental protection, supporting safe commerce while safeguarding the coastlines we all depend on. Learn more at wismccoop.org. Hello and welcome back to the Tactics Meeting. I'm your host, Dan Smiley. Here on the show, we talk about emergency response and preparedness, and today I want to bring you up to speed on the regulatory updates in Washington State, specifically that Washington has officially launched, as of February 4th, its Best Achievable Protection Initiative, commonly referred to as BAP. And this effort will inform the update to contingency planning regulation. So this process, works through over the next couple of years. Their goal is to have a rule writing in 2026 and have a new rule in place in 2027. So this is all part of the WAC regulation under Washington Administrative Code 173-182. So what is best achievable protection? Well, under Washington law, BAP means the highest level of protection that can reasonably be achieved using best achievable technology, so drones and other new things, herding agents, whatever it might be, properly trained people, because whatever the technology is, not in use if you don't know how to use it and staff it, and additional operational methods. They talk about a systems approach where it's not enough to just have boom, but without a boat to deploy the boom or tow the boom, you can't have one without the other. So a systems approach and effective operational methods. And to be clear, this isn't a fixed standard. It evolves. BAP means or is meant to ensure oil spill contingency plans remain current with the latest advancements in equipment, response strategies, and real-world experiences. And we're getting new real-world experiences all the time. I just got some pictures the other day of the Stena Immaculate, which was the tank vessel that was at anchor off of the port of Humber in England when it was T-boned by a container ship that was traveling 16 knots. I mean, this is the kind of scenario that we would create for a worst case exercise, right? Tanker sitting at anchor, somebody collides with them, and all the cargo tanks are ruptured, and the vessel is at risk of sinking, and we need to mount a worst case response. But interestingly, that ship absorbed that head-on, that side smack collision, and only lost one cargo tank. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that best achievable technology also exists in ship construction and preparedness, because they didn't lose all the tanks. That vessel was not at risk of sinking. And maybe it's a different episode, but I think we need to start to rethink what our worst case drill planning really is going to sort of look like, and what our risks really are. So anyway, It's BAP is meant to ensure that contingency plans remain current, and the regulation says that they need to go through this process. They, meaning the Washington State Department of Ecology, need to go through this process every 5 years and conduct a formal BAP, Best Achievable Protection review to determine whether updates to the contingency plan rule are needed. So that's where we're at. And so in 2025, the process began with an online meeting of interested parties. It was a well attended online kickoff session, well run by the Department of Ecology. They outlined what this process was going to be. And in the process, they introduced a public survey, and I attended in my role as the executive director for the Washington State Maritime Cooperative. So that's why I was involved in this process, because we're the umbrella plan holder covering protection and protecting the waters of Washington and Puget Sound, the Salish Sea, Straits of Juan de Fuca, coast of Washington. So anyway, during this meeting, Ecology introduced the BAP process and announced the launch of a public survey and provided a link so that interested parties could submit suggestions on what changes should be made to the existing oil spill contingency plan rules. The survey invited feedback on everything from emerging risks to gaps in current regulations. And for those of you who are interested, Ecology did publish all of the submitted comments on their website, and you can download them as I did. And as a result of this survey, Ecology has identified 4 areas that they want to focus on in this upcoming rulemaking. And to do that, they've formed 4 uh, BAP work groups, one for each of the topics that they have decided they want to focus on. And the work groups are made up of ecology, interested parties, the regulated community, NGOs, people who have expressed an interest in being involved in this process. And in my role with WSMIC, the Washington State Maritime Cooperative, we, or one of my incident commanders, is going to sit on each one of these work groups as it goes forward. So what are the 4 work groups? Number 1, non-floating oil response. Number 2, whale and wildlife deterrence. Number 3, shoreline cleanup and assessment techniques. And number 4, aerial surveillance of oil spills. And each one of these areas reflects what the survey participants believed were critical issues in oil spill preparedness, where technology, science, or experience has evolved since this process was done last. And although there were more issues that were raised in the survey, these are the ones that Ecology has agreed on. So what's the timeline for this BAP process? So the survey already took place. These work groups are supposed to be formed and operate March through May, but this is already March 29th, so we're not going to make that. Work groups are supposed to meet to develop recommendations. Those recommendations are supposed to be submitted to the rule writing team in May. Then in July, Ecology is going to set the scope of the rulemaking. Then in the fall, they'll have the formal rulemaking where they'll begin public comment, and then all through 2026 they'll do the drafting and hold the public hearings, and then go into rule adoption for 2027. So if you're an interested party, you're here in Washington, you operate in Washington, you haven't heard about this process yet, you want to get involved, I'd start by going to the Ecology website and downloading the materials that are already there. And then the contact person at Ecology is Sean Orr, and I'll put his email on the slide at the end. So this is our update. I hope you found that interesting, and maybe I will see you at one of the work groups. Thanks for watching. Get back to work. If you're getting value from the tactics meeting, whether it's maritime safety, environmental insight, or just good conversation, consider supporting the show. We're a lean crew with a big mission, and your support helps keep the command post running smoothly.